I would like to give President Trump a little bit of advice, and I think this is a good rule of thumb, and here it is. If John Kerry is agreeing with you, you're probably doing it wrong.
From the highways of America, here's the podcast where we talk politics, a little entertainment, some culture, and this and that, from the road to your ears. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
And welcome to another episode of Trend Chat. I'm your host, Brian Bledsoe, and if you want to connect with us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. It's all the same at Trend Chat 24/7. Thank you for listening. We are on trendchat247.com by Spreaker, or if you're listening on the whatever podcast outlet of your choice, whether it's Google Play or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and numerous others that I have no idea that we're on. So, but however you're listening, thanks for listening, and also let us know where you're, what outlet you're listening from. Just curious. I know we tend to look at the stats and see where everyone is listening and what devices are they using. But yeah, just I guess just let us know. You can send us an email, something I keep forgetting to mention sometimes, but email us at trendchat247@gmail.com. Let us know. I know, what was it, last week we had a little bit of an uptick of listeners in Italy, of all places. Now, I know with everything that's been going on across the world, and Italy in particular has been hit, one of the hardest hit, with everything with the coronavirus, the Chinese flu, or whatever, the COVID-19, call it whatever. And so, but it still amazes me to still think about other people, not only in this country listening, but across the world. And I'm seeing Italy on the list a couple of weeks ago of people listening. I still just, again, if you're listening anywhere, we'll, send us a message or whatever. But especially if you're listening from, another country, I'm just interested in as far as, how you came across our podcast. Anyway, on this episode, we're going to speak with Jaco Booyens, and it's an interview from CPAC, and we'll have that later on. But I guess first, before we get to that, given that from last episode, and if you don't know, I'm a truck driver, and so that's my job. That's what pays the bills. This is fun, but this doesn't pay the bills. Put it that way. But anyway, because of that, and I guess you could say truck drivers and healthcare workers and, doctors and all that. And, people working in retail, especially in grocery stores, are pretty much kind of the only ones still working, because right now everything, for the most part, is on lockdown. A lot of major cities and states have issued lockdown orders across the country, even across the world. And I must say, I'm very blessed to still be working, and because I know so many are out of work right now, and you have Congress that passed a bill, which I'll get into that a little bit. Actually, that was kind of a bit of why I said in the beginning, in the intro, about that, but I'll get into that later on. But like I said, I'm blessed to still be, working in these crazy times right now that is going on. And so with that, I know last week the title of last week's episode was trucking for toilet paper, which it's funny, talking about titles. I still haven't thought of a title as I'm doing this episode. I still haven't thought of a title for this episode. So if you're listening and see the episode title, at the time of recording, I still don't know what I'm going to title this as. And I know I've mentioned before that thinking of titles for these episodes can be nerve wracking for me, only because it just, I don't know, I overthink it too much. And it just gets on my nerves. Actually, sometimes it delays me from even doing the episode because I'm still trying to think about how I'm going to title the episode. But whatever. So from last week's episode, and going to these different stores, mainly stopping at Walmart for the most part, but also stop at other grocery stores as well. Not so much to deliver. Every now and then I'm delivering directly to a store. But mostly what I'm doing is delivering to the distribution center for these, retail stores, whether it is a Walmart. So I may not always deliver straight to a Walmart supercenter. I'll go into a distribution center, for Walmart, and then they, their drivers take it. But, as I said, I've been stopping at a lot of these stores and just seeing how it's progressed as far as restocking the shelves after everyone bought all the toilet paper and hand sanitizer. So, I will say now, at least from the places I've stopped at, so I've stopped at, stores in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Arkansas, Chicago area, Illinois and Missouri, and well, back in Texas. And speaking of that, we're broadcasting from home. Actually, we're here for a couple of hours actually, because we'll get right back on the road after a short little break, basically a day, basically. So, but as I've gone to all these stores, I'm noticing that the shelves are getting stocked, or more. At least they're staying on the shelf longer than I mentioned from last week. I know last week I was saying that your best bet is to probably go in the morning, because that's a lot of times that's when we're bringing in the product, and then that's when it's on the shelves. And people come in throughout the day, and by noon, all the stuff that's the few cases of whatever those hot items, being toilet paper or hand sanitizer, tend to go away by noon, and then you have to wait till the next day until the next truck come in. But now I'm seeing that toilet paper, even though it's not fully stocked, but it's still there. So it seems like they're having just enough to get through the day now, for people that are coming in. And I would say it's probably the people that didn't get anything last week that are coming in to get a few cases. And also the stores have, I would say that they did what they should have done last week when this all happened, when all the toilet paper was getting bought. But I feel like they were blindsided by all this and weren't able to respond quickly enough about it. But I think, because now these stores are doing it where they're limiting these items, especially. So if it's hand sanitizer or water or toilet paper, they're keeping it to one. You can only get one right now. So you can't just buy, a whole shelf full of about 10, 12, 20 cases of it. You can only get one of that. So that's what they're doing now. So, but yeah, so it's getting better. As I mentioned, probably, in the last episodes, slowly but surely we're getting back, to being not fully stocked. I guess we'll get there in the coming weeks, but it's getting there. Now, I'm guessing if you're listening to this and if you've gone out to, grocery store or whatever, and you're probably seeing this as well, at least I hope you are. I think some of the larger cities, the metro areas, are probably still a little bit behind. But I know one thing I did notice. I know one of the states I stopped in was in Arkansas. And I'm just going from the few stores I stopped at in Arkansas. Now, if you don't know, Arkansas is the home state of Walmart. So this was a bit surprising because the stores I stopped at in Arkansas looked worse than the other states I stopped at. I mean, the stores I stopped at in Arkansas was all like bare, where they looked like how they looked last week. And I was like, I mean, I thought this is the home state of Walmart. You would think they would get stocked quicker than anybody, but it seemed like it's the opposite effect. But then again, like I said, I only stopped at like maybe 4 or 5 stores in Walmart in Arkansas. But I just noticed that, and I don't know, maybe it's like that across the state, but that's just what I saw. But I know, as I mentioned about all these, everything being locked down. I know I drove through downtown Chicago, and it was, I mean, I normally never drive through downtown Chicago. One, because I don't like driving through Chicago. It's just personally, I don't like driving through Chicago because as a truck driver, I've been driving over 15 years now. And the only time I've ever came close to an accident, all of them happened in the Chicago area. So, and I'm talking about, I've driven through New York, Times Square, driven through LA, all major cities. The only place where I've had so much trouble is Chicago. I don't know. So that's one reason why. But I drove through downtown Chicago a couple of days ago, and because of everything being locked down and people not at work, it was a breeze. It was barely any traffic. I mean, driving through downtown Chicago at any time tends to be a lot of traffic. But nope, it was easy breezy. So, but like I said, with all these, lockdown orders that are going on, I've mentioned this maybe 2 or 3 times already in the past couple of episodes, that I understand, what they're trying to do. And I think it's with good intentions. But I'm seeing from some of these lockdown orders where they're making it like mandatory, or where they want to fine people, put them in jail or whatever like that, or at least fine. I don't think I've seen any one of them about putting people in jail. I don't think I have, at least. But still, making it mandatory, again, I do think it's a good idea. Social distancing is a good idea. I think it's best to stay at home I think it's best to do that, and to go out only if you need to and all that. I think that's great, but none of this should be mandatory. And I think we're letting the fear of everything that's going on make us accept all of this and not really speak out against it. And I think it's wrong that we're doing that. So one thing, I think I just want to go back to this quote, because it kind of speaks into not only these lockdown orders, but also with just the stimulus bill that just passed, and just and I think this is pretty much the feeling across the country, and I think, it's sad because, and I'll just go back to this quote. I think this is probably the 3rd time I'll be mentioning this quote, but I think it needs to be repeated as much as possible. And so the quote, if you've been listening to the past couple episodes, you know what I'm about to say. Emergencies have always been the pretext on which the safeguards of individual liberty have been eroded, which is a quote from Frederick Hayek. So, so I think it just, that just needs to be said. And unfortunately, we as a country are not really thinking about the ramifications of what's going to happen if we keep allowing this to happen to our freedoms.
Politics and other stuff, maybe. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
Hey, it's Lawrence Jones with Fox News. Check out Trend Chat with my brother, Brian Bledsoe.
Hello to fans of Trend Chat and Brian Bledsoe. The Founding Project, an education nonprofit dedicated to civics, invites you to visit our brand new website. Visit us at thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with The Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Please join us today.
One, two, three.
We here at Trend Chat, we are proud to be part of the 1776 militia. Check out 1776united.com. They have a wide array of clothing, hats, shirts, art, and more that is fiercely patriotic and stylish to match. Go to 1776united.com, and if you put in the code TRENDCHAT, you get 20% off your first purchase. Again, 1776united.com, put in the code TRENDCHAT for 20% off. So, we're gonna get to our interview with Jaco Booyens, and like I said, this was an interview we did at CPAC. But first, before I get into that, wanted to kind of want to mention as far as what's going on, because as far as this, COVID-19 or the Chinese coronavirus or the Wuhan flu, or keep calling it whatever, and I would say keep the focus on that this came from China. And regardless of what people try to make it seem like it's racist to say that, no, China deserves all the blame, and they need to keep getting, remind people of that. So, but anyway, at this, at time of recording here, the number of deaths so far, I think we're close to 1,500 in America. And I just want to put that in perspective, actually, and that has been for months, I guess, well, at least in the past couple of months or so, since this pandemic has happened. And just to put this in perspective, because I'm thinking about when I see all the numbers and all the attention, and rightfully so, not saying like it shouldn't get the attention, because it's something that is still serious. But to put this in perspective, again, do you know what 1,500 deaths are in relation to something like abortion? 1,500 deaths is a Tuesday, or any day, when it comes to deaths in abortion. You have thousands and thousands of lives lost every day due to abortion. Now, unlike someone catching a disease involuntarily and sadly dying, you have thousands of babies who are voluntarily murdered every day in this country. Basically, that's because we as a country has kind of bought in and not valuing their humanity. And I just want to say that before we get into our interview, because that's similar to what's going on with human trafficking. And we talked with Jaco Booyens about this, and because he is going across the country speaking on this subject and trying to open people's eyes on the evil, the atrocity of human trafficking. And so, without further ado, here's our interview with Jaco. Hello, this is Trent Chat. We are very pleased to have Jaco Booyens with us. I would say the main advocacy would be for is to end in human trafficking. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I wanted to have you on. I've been wanting to speak with you, especially because me being a truck driver, I'm a part of Truckers Against Trafficking. I wanted to talk with you because I saw your talk at University of Arlington and talking about everything. So just, I guess first thing, for people that don't know, because I know people think they know, but let people know some stats and just how prevalent it is and how horrible it is that's going on out there.
Look, sex trafficking is real. It's modern-day slavery. It focuses and profiles the African-American community tremendously. It is literally modern-day slavery. We've got over 500,000 kids per day trafficked, sold for sex, kids 17 and under in the United States, 76,000 a day in Texas. It's an epidemic. It's cross-border. It's inside our states. It's American kids. It's Hispanic kids. It's white, black, Hispanic, Asian. This thing doesn't profile. It's evil. It's sexual immorality, and they're profiling our children, and the left is allowing it to happen. Nobody on the left is fighting this thing. Anybody that's fighting it is on the right, because I truly believe the left does not care about the American people, and we have to fight like crazy to protect our children. It's the most bipartisan issue of them all, because it's about our future. It's our children. What are we fighting for? Why are we at CPAC? Why do we care who's president? Why do we do what we do in this country if it's not because we want to have a better future for our children? We have to step up and do a better job at protecting our children, so we got to bring awareness, which is what you're doing here. Truckers Against Trafficking, incredible organization, okay? Incredible. I love truck drivers. They're the eyes and the ears of the American people. They see things, and when you arm a trucker with information, that guy can make a difference. That guy sees stuff.
Unfortunately, yes. I used to have a CB. I don't have it anymore. One reason why is because, maybe I should get it, put one back in my truck, because one thing I didn't want to hear all that. Basically, they were advertising women on my CB, and I didn't want to hear all that, and so I took it out. But this was before I got with Truckers Against Trafficking. Now I guess I should maybe put it back in, just so I can maybe use the phone number that they have and everything like that. Is that a good suggestion?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because what it would do for you is it would tell you where the bad guys are. It would tell you who's doing it. Yeah. It also give you an opportunity to talk to these truckers directly. Look, and I would like to see a federal mandate nationwide where every truck stop has to have warning signs on it, phone numbers to call, what to look out for, right? And again, Truckers Against Trafficking, they are champions. Because these are men, guys who are holding themselves accountable, saying we're going to fight for the children. But men who are listening to this podcast, it doesn't start with trafficking a child for sex. It starts with porn. It's where it starts. And if you're engaging in any sexual immoral activity, such as porn, ultimately you're feeding the beast, you're creating demand. And so, look, it's an epidemic, but we can fight this thing. We can beat it with organizations like Truckers Against Trafficking.
So I know you are involved, you're a fellow at the Falkirk Center as well, and I know we talked with others that are involved as well. So what are you doing and everything that you're doing there?
The Falkirk Center at Liberty University is a brainchild of Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA and Jerry Falwell, the president of Liberty University. They created a think tank. They brought in 6 fellows, which I'm very blessed to be one of them, where we stand for Judeo-Christian values, and we represent Christian values into the conversation in this country, into politics, family, faith, and media. So whenever somebody like a Pete Buttigieg stands on stage and quotes scripture to support abortion, we come up and say, wait a minute, that's not what scripture says. Here's an accurate reflection. This is what it's about.
So I also just found out about an event. Well, it's with Promise Keepers, and they have a big event in Dallas. So, you involved with that as well?
Look, I'm not directly involved, but we support them. It's time. It's been time. Promise Keepers has been quiet for a while. It's time. They got a great men's event through some Dallas churches. It's going to be at Cowboy Stadium. It's going to be a great day. And that event is really going to be an event to call men up, which we should do today. Not call men out. Look, we all deal with struggles, but we need to call men up to become part of the solution. And stop taking this bait about toxic masculinity and emasculating men. You're a man for a reason. God made you a man to be a defender, to be a watchman.
And last question for the people that are listening, what can everyday people do if they're interested in hearing this and want to help you or just want to do their part in ending human trafficking?
Watch our film called 8 Days, number 8 DAYS. Watch the movie 8 Days. Go to our website, sharetogethernow.org, and there they're going to learn what to look for, how to fight it, if you're in it, how to get out of it, how to get help, who to call, how to talk to your principal at the school, a curriculum to come teach the kids. It's all there.
And if people want to know more about you or want to see you on social media, where to go?
Yeah, my name, Jaco, Jacobooyens, Twitter, Instagram. See you there.
All right, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, brother.
Hello, this is Brian Bledsoe, host of Trend Chat, also contributor at politichicks.com. Here to tell you about the new book called Politichicks, A Clarion Call to Political Activism, with over 300 pages from contributors like myself, talking about topics such as education, social issues, healthcare, the Second Amendment, and of course, activism. I encourage you all to check it out at politichicks.com, and is also available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Hey everyone, this is Lucia Scaramacchia, and you are listening to Trend Chat.
All right. So thanks to Jaco for joining us, and just want to mention a couple of things from that, and especially in talking about abortion, as far as what's still going on, which with all that is going on with these lockdown orders and only having essential businesses opening, one silver lining is that babies are being saved with, a lot of these abortion clinics are closed. So that number of 1,000, thousands of babies dying every day is, considerably going down, in this time. So if there's one silver lining, there's that. But also just want to give a shout out to Culture of Life, because, they are a great company. They are looking to, there are a pro-life fashion line, which is very rare. If not, there may be the only one, but it's very rare, because most of these fashion, fashion magazines and all fashion lines, they're all, they're for abortion. They're, and Culture Life is looking to change that. And so if you go on their website, col1972.com, and put in the code TRENDCHAT, name of this show, you'll get 10% off on, whether it's, shirts and dresses, actually, and a number of jewelry as well on, Cultural Life website. So col1972.com, and check them out. And again, Trend Chat, that's the code, and you get 10% off. So another factor that has been going on with all this craziness, like I said, nobody's at work for the most part, and just recently Congress passed and the president signed a bill for stimulus, and within that, people are getting $1,200, or I think it's like $3,000 if you're married or whatnot. As long as you're under 1,000, as long as you make under $100,000, then you're eligible to get that stimulus check. And you hear a lot of different things back and forth about that, where someone like, oh, if you don't like socialism, don't take that check, or whatever like that. All I will say is that, all these checks are just money that has been taken from our taxes. So it's, if you're a taxpayer and normally you're paying taxes. All you're doing is just getting some of the money back. A very small fraction of it, but you're getting some money back from your taxes. So I wouldn't say this is socialism. Because again, you're already getting taxed and you normally don't get anything back, especially if you're a taxpayer and one that's actually paying taxes every year. So, but another, one aspect about this is the fact that it's such a large bill. Talking about the bill itself is like over $2 trillion. And then you have the Federal Reserve. I think they're giving like $4 to $6 trillion, another $4 to $6 trillion on top of that. And with all of this, if we have been fiscally responsible in the past, this wouldn't be such a worry as far as adding to the over $1 trillion of debt that we have. If we were fiscally responsible, we maybe would have had a surplus, but that's not the case. You know why? Because every year, everything is an emergency. This right here, what is going on right now, this is an actual emergency that is going on, where I would say government assistance is warranted. This is the emergency that all the politicians have been crying wolf about for decades, to why we need to spend money. We need to spend more money on this, that program, this program, whatever like that. Everything it was always critical. This is a crisis. No, this is that crisis. This is that emergency. And now, again, like I said, we're over $20 trillion in debt and now having to deal with this. But I would hope, I'm thinking about it, but I know this is not going to happen, because I would hope after all this is over that, they would, up in Washington would understand that maybe they shouldn't call everything an emergency from now on, because you saw what one was really like, right? It just happened. But they won't. Once we get past this, there'll be another emergency that we need to spend another $1 trillion or a couple $100 billion or whatever on whatever the other emergency is, and we'll just continue going on. And this stimulus will just add to the debt more, and we'll just get further behind. And that's the unfortunate, problem that's going to come after this. I just don't see anyone up there, or at least not enough. I know there's some up there. I know one in particular. You had Thomas Massey up there who at least wanted to speak out against the bill for a number of reasons. And one was just a procedural reason, as far as needing to have a recorded vote, and they just wanted to do a voice vote and whatnot. And it's even President Trump went after Massey. Anyway, it's not the first time actually, but I would disagree. I agree more with Massey with what he was saying, and although I understand that it wasn't going to stop the bill from passing anyway, but still, it's good to have someone on record that was against it and actually had the fortitude to say it, because I think he pretty much knew what the reaction was going to be from both sides, actually, by doing what he did yesterday. And so I would say this: I would rather have someone like Thomas Massey up there in Congress than just focusing strictly on Republicans, right? So, because one thing, even President Trump was talking about, basically kicking him out of the Republican Party, and which I will hope that doesn't happen. I hope he doesn't get primaried or whatever like that. And if he do, I hope people will see that he's a much better representative than someone like a rhino that's up there, or a lot of these people. Like I would rather have someone like Thomas Massey than, I guess, being from Texas and in the DFW area. Like I'd rather have Massey than someone like Kay Granger if I had to pick between two Republicans. But that's that's where we at. Anyway, like I said, it passed anyway, and all that was in there, as far as people going to get their checks and all that, and hopefully that helps with whatever bills that they have, and also as far as the businesses are able to pay their employees as well. But I know right now, I know the president mentioned about hopefully having having everyone back to work, or at least most people back to work by Easter, and that's hopeful, and I hope that happens, that in the next couple of weeks things get better, and the confirmed cases go down, and people get better, and like I said, I hope that's the trend we're heading towards. Now, that being said, because he said that, because given, as they want to say, it was a deadline. I mean, it's not so much a deadline, it's just that's where we hope to be by Easter. And I know one thing he mentioned that in one of the press conferences, that like the media and Democrats they would like to keep everything shut down so they will hurt them as far as the chances for re-election. And I would agree with that too. I was, in the name of public safety, I very well could see media and Democrats, they are one and the same, would use this pandemic to, like I said, in the name of public safety, that you will have Democrat governors, Democrat mayors, pretty much, across the country, that would try to keep everything locked down even longer and play this politically. Just, because it's killing two birds with one stone in a way. Yeah, you're able to keep the people safe, and I'm not doubting that people want to keep their constituents safe. So I'm not saying that they're not wanting to do that, but if they can do that and also hurt Trump, that's a win-win in their case. So I could definitely see all of these Democrat, especially governors and mayors, probably dragging their feet as far as lifting those shutdown orders, even after the president will say, even after the federal government say, okay, we would like everyone to get back to work, and because we think we're on the other side, we're on the downside of what's going on, and we need to, everybody need to get back to work. I could very well see that happening. And the media will be right there behind those governors and mayors and city councils. They'll be right there supporting them, saying that they're doing the right thing, and President Trump is just throwing people out there because he's trying. He knows it's going to hurt him as far as his reelection, and just he's putting his reelection over the public health and stuff like that. I can very well see that happening in the next couple of weeks, and it wouldn't shock me one bit. And I mean, this is the same media, especially, that tried to blame Trump for a man killing himself by basically taking fish tank cleaner, and try to blame Trump for it because it sounds similar just similar to what President Trump brought up as far as hydrochloroquine. Hydrochloroquine. He mentioned that, and this person took something similar. Now, look, I thought it was kind of already known, but apparently not. You can't just go, well, that's close enough, right, with chemicals. There's something like, okay, that sounds like, this sounds a little bit like what President Trump, no, you can't do that when it comes to chemicals. You might mess around and die. Like this man did, unfortunately. And so this is the same media that wanted to use that to blame Trump. So yeah, I can very well see them doing what they can to try to, and it's not like this will be the first time or like it just started now. They've been trying that ever since 2016, ever since he's been inaugurated. So anyway, I would say hopefully, in a few weeks, majority of people will be back to work, and I would say we'll probably still be practicing social distancing, and I would say probably limit large gatherings still. It'll be, go to work and go home. So at least people are still, earning a living, but still won't have large gatherings. And then maybe after that, maybe a week or so later, then you'll have, dine in as far as restaurants, and maybe able to go to the movie theaters and stuff like that. And then after maybe a couple of weeks after that, and, then you will have the larger events like, concerts and conventions and sports events with baseball and basketball resuming their season. So, but anyway, I would just say, as soon as we get some sort of vaccine, which will take a while, at least for that, or some sort of treatment, as soon as we get some sort of vaccine or treatment that's widely available, we'll be back to normal, treating this like any other disease. But after all this, hopefully we will all learn and have better hygiene. So out of all that, I hope that happens, and I hope people stick with it, because I'm still surprised that we had to tell people to wash their hands and all and stuff like that, where I thought we were already doing this stuff. But so I appreciate everyone listening, and trendchat247.com. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Let's continue to grow Trend Chat, and until next week, we'll chat with you later.